Yeah, but that should be it. Audio, closed captions. Yeah, language. Yeah. The lighthouse.
Dear Esther, the gulls do not land here anymore. I've noticed that this year they seem to shun the place. Maybe it's the depletion of the fishing stock driving them away. Perhaps it's me. When he first landed here, Donnelly wrote that the herds were sickly and their shepherds the lowest of the miserable classes that populate these Hebridean islands. 300 years later, even they have departed.
Okay, somebody had the runs. Somebody got to clean up the toilet. Somebody did something dirty in the thing too. Does it say European? European Food and Goods Convention, Wolverhampton, 1978, huh? Sweetness and honesty and happiness together in a yogurt? Okay, CJ, chemistry master, come on. What is this? Thing is, the light comes on and off by itself. It's nothing I'm doing. Okay, just paint. Okay, well, there's two paths here. Someone seems to be going further and further away, so let's go up. Fortunately, no run button. You can zoom in and out. Whee! It's windy. was nothing up here. What? Oh. I thought you weren't gonna be able to walk past that.
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
I left him gifts too, since I couldn't put a gift in the toilet. I put my gift out there too. So you can continue. What we got in here? Ooh. Hey, flashlight. Why ain't you working in here? There's a light over there. I need a new flashlight. Yeah, they sound good, but how good would they actually be? Ah. I still haven't used any of all these functions. The only thing I've been using my graphics card so far is ray tracing. That's it.
There was once talk of a wind farm out here, away from the rage and the intolerance of the masses. The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbines to stand. They clearly never came here to experience the becalming for themselves. Personally, I would have supported it. Turbines would be a fitting contemporary refuge for a hermit. The revolution and the permanence.
Yes, it's kind of sad that one is so tied to its graphics card brand, and the other one is, you know, open for all. Kind of like, but seems as soon as AMD comes up with something, they tend to get a lot of shit for it.
Reading Donnelly by the weak afternoon sunlight. He landed on the south side of the island, followed the path to the bay and climbed the mount. He did not find the caves, and he did not chart the north side. I think this is why his understanding of the island is flawed, incomplete. He stood on the mount and only wondered momentarily how to descend, but then he didn't have my reasons. When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
You die in this game if you fall down? Can I attempt it? Okay. For science.
Come back.
Died from falling up a cliff once. So that was an achievement. Well, then it was worth it. Yeah, I mean, I understand, you know, stuff, but it's just that you know, the fanboys of one brand, it's like kind of like with Starfield now. It only has FSR, it doesn't have DLS and everything with NVIDIA's card in it. You guys don't say anything when it's opposite.
People, those shepherds. There was no love in the relationship. Donnelly tells me that they had one Bible that was passed around in strict rotation. It was stolen by a visiting monk in 1776, 2 years before the island was abandoned altogether. In the interim, I wonder, did they assign chapter and verse to the stones and grasses, marking the geography with a superimposed significance, that they could actually walk the Bible and inhabit its contradictions?
Yeah, but I think they should just add everything to a game and let people decide what they want to use. That's how it is with sponsoring, you know.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
It's like, why is there like two paths in? Well, if that's gonna go anywhere or not. Tunnel here.
This hermit, this seer, this distant historian of bones and old bread, where did he vanish to? Why, asked the farmers. Why, asked Jacobson. Why bother with your visions at all, if you're just to throw your arms up at the cliff and let it close in behind you and seal you into the belly of the island, a museum shut to all but the most devoted?
It's a very flat one. Taking back graphics was so flat there. Okay, I'm going up then. So you're gonna play Starfield, CJ? Or any other new games coming out now?
I've become convinced I'm not alone here, even though I'm equally sure it is simply a delusion brought upon by circumstance. I do not, for instance, remember where I found the candles, or why I took it upon myself to light such a strange pathway. Perhaps it is only for those who are bound to follow.
Chemistry. Units. Units in chemistry. Donnelly.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my ordnance survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
What happens if we go this way? Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, let's go down. Anybody home? What we got here?
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
What does it say? Did he... What it says? And... I'm saying, neither did he. And... Nordrick. Okay, that part doesn't make any sense to me. We can go that way too. Or go up that way.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
I wonder if that's where we need to go. This is just taking us some weird spots. Still trying to, run by pressing the shift button. Run, damn it!
All night the boy has kept me lucid. I sat when I was at the very edge of despair, when I thought I would never unlock the secret of the island. I sat at the edge and I watched the idiot boy blink through the night. He is mute and he is retarded, and he has no thought in his metal head but to blink each wave and each minute aside until the morning comes and renders him blind as well as deaf-mute. In many ways, we have much in common.
Okay. Harsh words. Yeah, probably supposed to go towards that mast.
When I first looked into the shaft, I swear I felt the stones in my stomach shift in recognition.
House. Walk down there, then there's another path going here. Yep, we are supposed to go to the house, but two ways. Gonna pick there.
To climb, away from the sea and towards the center. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore. Was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
That sucks.
Ran out, I didn't pick up a torch, but used the moonlight to read by. When I've pulled the last shreds of sense from it, I will throw Donnelly's book from the cliffs, and perhaps myself with it. Maybe it will wash back up through the caves and erupt from the spring when the rain comes, making its return to the hermit's cave. Perhaps it will be back on the table when I wake. I think I may have thrown it into the sea several times before.
More painting.
He left his body to the medical school and was duly opened out for a crowd of students 21 days after his passing. The report is included in my edition of his book. The syphilis had torn through his guts like a drunk driver, scrambling his organs like eggs on a plate. But enough definition remained for a cursory examination, and, as I suspected, they found clear evidence of kidney stones. He's likely to have spent the last years of his life in considerable pain. Perhaps this is the root of his laudanum habit. Although its use makes him an unreliable witness, I find myself increasingly drawn into his orbit.
Many of those diseases or sicknesses in the old days when they couldn't cure them. That they today find to be so easy to fix. Somebody direct antenna. And down the black hole we go.
Donnelly's addiction is my one true constant. Even though I wake in false dawns and find the landscape changing, flowing constantly through my tears, I know his reaching is always upon me.
Getting some coffee.
Okay, a refreshing bath.
I first saw him sat by the side of the road. I was waiting for you to be cut out of the wreckage. The car looked like it had been dropped from a great height. The guts of the engine spilled over the tarmac, like water underground.
Paint. Whee! Interesting place and path. I guess to follow. Long way down.
Traveling through my own body, following the line of infection from the shattered femur towards the heart. I swallow fistfuls of painkillers to stay lucid. In my delirium, I see the twin lights of the moon and the Ariel shining to me through the rocks.
Like several ways to go here now. I would say up is the way to go. I'm kind of curious to see what's over here. Like buy a run button. Yep, we go. More paintings. That's for being able to carry so many paint buckets with him. Okay.
cannot be the shaft they threw the goats into. It cannot be the landfill where the parts of your life that would not burn ended up. It cannot be the chimney that delivered you to the skies. It cannot be the place where you rained back down again to fertilize the soil and make small flowers in the rocks.
No bones or anything down at the bottom. No, there's some. Behold, Damascus versus. Yeah. Something I can. I can. Somebody's been busy painting. Damascus versus Park. Away from being a city. And it shall be run Runcus Heap. Just a second. There's some hair that was like stuck on my glasses. Heck? A weird sequence. It's like we passed out and some dream hallucinations, I should say. Slow walk. Boop.
I wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight?
Something up there. Let's go back. Luminous Paint Premium Plus. Spark free, huh? Limited warranty. Jump in.
Come back.
Oh. Drown once. You get achievements for killing yourself in this game, it seems like, in different. Jumped off a cliff once and then ended up down there now, drowning.
fire and soil, I chose fire. It seemed the more contemporary of the options, the more sanitary. I could not bear the thought of the reassembly of such a ruin. Stitching arm to shoulder and femur to hip, charting a line of thread like traffic stilled on a motorway, making it all acceptable for tearful aunts and traumatized uncles flown in specially for the occasion. Reduce to ash, mix with water, make a phosphorescent paint for these rocks and ceilings.
They have to shock somebody. Chemistry formula. Okay, somebody in the picture and a crack almost right where the face is.
There were chemical stains on the tarmac, the leak of air conditioning, brake fluid and petrol. He kept sniffing at his fingers as he sat by the roadside, waiting as if he couldn't quite understand or recognize their smell. He said he'd been traveling back from a sales conference in Exeter. He'd stopped for farewell drinks earlier, but had kept a careful eye on his intake. You could hear the sirens above the idling traffic.
Light from heaven gone. Around. Okay. Light from heaven shone around him, I should say. I finished it. Beat the final boss. And I haven't had a little look at the Colosseum and stuff. How are you doing, Renty? Yeah, I defeated him, but it felt like the RNG with the whole thing. As one says, the star aligned in that attempt I did. I thought.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic. And I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
I thought then it was time to relax with take this game to play. Which is a bit of a weird one with the story. There, but see what's over here. On a sudden light, what? On a sudden, a light from heaven shone around him, and he fell to the ground. What the heck does that? Doesn't make any sense that on a sudden. Let's say something else. Oh, then there was such short time left, so I thought, play something short. Then you start on some other game tomorrow.
The pain in my leg sent me blind for a few minutes as I struggled up the cliff path. I swallowed another handful of painkillers, and now I feel almost lucid. The island around me has retreated to a hazed distance, whilst the moon appears to have descended into my palm to guide me. I can see a thick black line of infection reaching for my heart from the waistband of my trousers. Through the fugue, it's all the world like the path I have cut from the lowlands towards the aerial. Begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and casts parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
As he was. Proceeding on his journey. Come near to damn something. I can't read that.
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
And neither did he eat nor drink. Okay. And he was 3 days with 3 days without shit. What the heck is that supposed to say? There's 3 days without sight.
Headlights reflected in these retinas. Too long in the tunnels of my island without a bottom. The sea creatures have risen to the surface, but the gulls are not here to carry them back to their nests. I've become fixed, open and staring, an eye turned on itself. I've become an infected leg whose tracking lines form a perfect map of the junctions of the M5. I will take the exit at mid-thigh and plummet to my Esther.
Jeez. And whatever that chemistry thing is. And it came to pass that as I made my journey and made my journey and something come can't breathe from this angle, man. Something D gone from heaven, a great light round. against me? Oh no! God damn it!
Come back.
Damn it! I was busy reading.
I have dredged these waters for the bones of the hermit, for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the Sanford Junction. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him. This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart. The Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
That was a massive big painting on the side there.
Come back.
A beacon, huh? That was a short little relaxing one. Just walk around, getting some weird storytelling done. Person call themselves the Chinese room, though. Where's the music for the ending? Hmm. Made with Unity, huh? Damn, 6 years ago. 6 years ago? Hmm. Yeah, this is was a short game.